Welcome to the Lex Buds and Pick and Roll podcast. I'm one of your two co-hosts, Brandon.
And with you as always is Tyler.
Tyler, another fun week in the books, sir. Another one for the ages. And we've got a lot to talk about on this episode. I think this is going to be a fun one. I've been looking forward to it for a few days now. It's going to be good.
We have some great stuff coming up, the least of which being our segment 3, where we're going to be doing our candy bar bracket. I'm very excited about it. I feel like we're going to have some controversy. I think we're going to make some people angry.
This show is controversy, Tyler. You know
Pure
this.
Controversy.
We do nothing but stir things up, to say the least. And speaking of stirring things up, Tyler, our number one hit single, Can't Even Get Us to the NIT, went well over 20,000 views, speaking of controversy.
Wow.
We had a lot of controversial comments on that. But we're not done. We are going to talk UK basketball. Again, we lost. We're going to talk about the news of the day, a new entry into the chicken wars, which I think could be the biggest story of the week, in my opinion, and, the school stuff. Lots of school stuff. So
yes,
we got things to talk about, but before we get into it, just how was your week?
Well, my 4-year-old, soon-to-be 5-year-old, got an early birthday present yesterday from my wife's sister's family.
Really?
They pulled in to our driveway with a massive box that required 2 people and a buggy to carry in.
Oh, my goodness, Tyler. What is this?
And inside this box was a trampoline.
Oh.
Which me and my brother-in-law and, well, really, it took the whole family.
Oh.
Our wives, mother-in-law. We even had the kids helping.
Oh, boy.
Took about a couple hours to put this thing together. But we now have this massive trampoline in our backyard. But the bonus feature that came with the trampoline came with a basketball goal.
Oh, so now it's a toy for you now.
Yes, so now me and you can record some epic one-on-one battles for Lex Buds and Pick and Roll.
Oh, boy.
With the new trampoline.
Let me check my health insurance plan first.
Yeah, well, we can get footage of the game and then the ambulance ride and then the ER visit. We can just get everything in one live continuous shot.
That would be great. Maybe we'll do a Facebook Live on that one or a YouTube Live. That sounds amazing, Tyler. I loved trampolines growing up. In fact, there's a couple kids in our neighborhood that have trampolines, and our kids just gravitate towards them. It's a thing. It's like a magnet for kids, and apparently it's now a magnet for adults like you and I, because we're definitely going to have to check out this basketball apparatus.
Yeah, I agree. I haven't had a chance to get on it yet because the kids have to go first. Apparently, the kids get to play on all these toys.
Who came up with that rule? Just wait till they get in school, Tyler. While they're gone at school all day, you can go home and you can jump on the trampoline. They'll never know you did it.
Yeah, maybe I'll just call in sick to work and not tell anybody, and just pretend that I'm, tell my wife I'm working all day.
Yeah,
and just go play on the trampoline all day.
That would be something. That's crazy. Well, Tyler, this week I did my taxes.
Whoa, okay.
I did my taxes. They're done.
You early bird, getting your taxes done in February.
Well, listen to this. I actually had my taxes done around the end of January, first week of February, but I wait till the end of February because some places are a little bit late getting the paperwork to you.
Yeah.
So I don't want to have to make adjustments.
Sure.
So I got my taxes done. I'm one of those people that likes to get it done, rip the Band-Aid off, and just get it out of the way. I don't have to worry about it.
So by ripping the Band-Aid off, I assume you are owing some money?
Tyler, I've got it down to a science to the point to where, based on our income, I'm within less than 1%, one way or the other, of owing or getting a refund.
Gotcha.
So I don't get massive refunds. I don't make massive payments. I've done it on my own for a while, and I've got it down to a science.
That's impressive. I don't think I could ever do my own taxes. It seems too complicated.
No, it is. It is. So I use, of course, they're not a sponsor of ours, but I use TurboTax, right? And they ask you all these questions along the way. So I'll put in my information, and they'll be like, do you own a farm? Did you receive this payment? Did you receive that? And all you have to do is click no. So you're not missing anything. It looks for you. Very, very handy. I've used it on my own, and I'm a person that doesn't really get into tax stuff that much, and it's very simple.
Yeah, that's impressive. We actually, also this week, we refinanced our mortgage.
Oh.
So we had to go in, and sign all the paperwork.
Fun.
And so, the stack of paperwork is like a foot tall.
Isn't it?
And they just hand you each paper and like, this is to certify that blah-de-blah is blah-de-blah. It's what it sounds like. And you're just signing all this stuff, and you have no clue what you're signing. I mean, because there's no way you could even possibly read it all and comprehend it.
Have you ever thought about going in?
I just assume everything is okay.
You ever thought about going in there and saying, I'd like to read that? And then just record their face. I'd like to read every page before I sign it.
Oh, yeah.
I need to call my attorney, make sure this looks okay.
That'd be a great bid.
That's exciting, though. I mean, mortgage rates are crazy right now. I mean, they're crazy low.
It is. We had to do it. It was too good of a deal. But no clue what I'm signing, and it's just stuff like that and doing taxes. That's I just need somebody to do it.
Yeah,
for me,
one of the
so
things that's probably in that paperwork is you promised not to put a trampoline on the property, and you signed that paperwork, Tyler. That's what you did.
Oh yeah, probably.
Oh, geez.
Probably
well,
right.
Tyler, are you ready to get into it?
Yep.
You want to start with sports?
We might as well. We got another fun game to talk about.
Oh, absolutely, Tyler. Kentucky basketball still isn't streaking. Not through the quad, not through the gymnasium, and not on the basketball court, as the Cats fail to hit a 4-game win streak this year after their home loss on senior night to the Florida Gators 71-67. Tyler, does this team have a 4-game streak in them to win the SEC tourney?
Well, clearly not, because we have not put a 4-game win streak together the whole season.
That's amazing.
Which seems to be, if you're going to win 4 games in a conference tournament, it would be helpful to know that you have at least won 4 games in a row previously, to know that it is physically possible. These guys don't even know that you can win 4 games in a row. So I think it's kind of a bad omen. We were on a little bit of a roll. I think if we won this game, I mean, Cal was even talking about getting another opponent next week because the possibility for an at-large berth maybe was even still on the table. Mm-hmm. And then just the air went out of the tire yesterday. Just a complete downer. A game we should have won. A game we
Absolutely.
were up. I don't know what 7-9 points in the first half. Or
we were
like
up.
That.
Yeah.
So just a very big downer. A huge disappointment in a season full of disappointment.
All right, now so Calipari mentioned getting another big name opponent. Why would you drop that opponent now? If it's off the table, why not go ahead with that opponent? What's the upside or the downside? Are you really going to lose that much? Let's say it was Gonzaga, just for sake of argument. Let's say he was going to bring Gonzaga into Rupp Arena. Isn't that something where you would almost want a home and home with them? I mean, they're kicking our rear in recruiting, and they've been number 1 in the country the whole year. Wouldn't that be great to put 2 top teams together for a couple years in a row? What's the downside there? Why wouldn't you schedule that anyway?
Well, because I think right now Gonzaga would destroy us.
But we're getting destroyed. We're not on the radar right now, right? People aren't going to really pay attention if they beat us, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we're expected to lose the game, right? This is the year to do it. We're expected to lose. So even if we come close or we win, people say, wow, maybe Kentucky's not so bad.
Right.
Because people are expecting us to lose by 15, 20 points.
Okay.
So, I mean, I would go ahead and schedule that. I'm not surprised that we lost. I'm not going to be Debbie Downer. I'm trying to be more positive. I looked at after the game. I thought, you know what? I could be a Debbie Downer, but I really want to try to stay as positive as I can about next year, because this year is gone.
So you're already giving up hope. You think there's no hope for the SEC tournament? Huh?
Yeah. There's no hope for the SEC tournament. I do think we could have hit a 4-game win streak had our games not been canceled this past week. So we could have potentially hit a 4-game win streak. And my mind goes back to UConn in 2014. Mm-hmm. They were mediocre at best, and they came through with like a 11-game winning streak. At the end of the year, they won their conference tournament. They won 5 games in 5 days, and then they won the NCAA tournament. So we could do that, right?
Well, UConn also had Kemba Walker, who's one of the best college players of the last decade, and was a NBA All-Star. Do you think we have anybody on this roster that is a future NBA All-Star?
Well,
that could carry a team like that?
Tyler, you're looking at it the wrong way. I don't know if you ever watched the game Moneyball or the movie Moneyball.
I do. I love Moneyball.
Yeah, where they don't try to recreate Jason Giambi. They try to do it by making a collection of players that make up for what he does. So do we have a Kemba Walker? No, but we have a lot of good contributors. Okay. And also, if we make a deep run in the NCAA tournament, theoretically, Terrence Clark can play because he's only out 4 weeks, right?
Yeah, sure.
Anyway.
But, I mean, looking at this game specifically, the Florida game, I mean, this is a game that just feels like we had to win this one if we were going to do anything. This felt like a must-win. And just to give you some numbers, because I always like to throw out some stats.
Let's throw out some stats.
Yeah, because we've had a historic season
of
terrible stats. Do you know the last time that Kentucky lost back-to-back senior days?
I'm going to say that this happened somewhere in the Billy Gillespie era.
No, 1920 was the last time we lost back-to-back senior days.
So shortly after basketball was invented.
Yes.
Okay.
So it had been over 100 years since back-to-back senior day losses.
Ouch.
This is, I think, the first time. I might be wrong about this, but maybe the first time in Rupp Arena history that we'll finish with a losing home record.
Oh my!
We're 4-6 at home this season. 4-6.
Oh, good gracious!
And then lastly, Calipari was 33-0 at UK at home when we made at least 25 free throws until yesterday.
You know, I feel like Rupp Arena is losing its intimidation factor. We've lost some games, even before this year. We've lost some games at home that we shouldn't have lost.
Yeah.
I feel like our home court advantage is just kind of, I don't know what's doing it. I don't know what the root cause of that is, but people don't seem to be as afraid. You know, Rupp Arena used to be an intimidating place, and it is during some games of the year, but I feel like it's lost a little bit of its luster.
For sure, it has.
In that regard.
Well, especially this year when it's basically empty. You've only got a couple thousand people in there.
Our cardboard cutouts need to be louder.
That's true.
They're too quiet.
Very disappointed in the blue-haired cardboard cutouts.
Yeah.
Brandon, I do want to ask you about, what did you think about what was really the deciding play of the game?
Mm-hmm.
UK was, down 2 with like 37 seconds left, and Calipari calls a timeout. There were, I think, 8 seconds left on the shot clock. And the play he ran up ended with Olivier Sarr shooting an off-balance three-pointer that barely hit the backboard.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that play call? What happened there? Break it down for us.
Could have been better. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but this isn't the first time this stuff has happened. You got to get the ball in either. I don't think you can put the ball in Dante Allen's hands or run a play for him. He hasn't really, wasn't on the court that much. Right.
And he was not in the game for that play either.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You don't put him in for that, so you got to scratch that out. I think you got to put it in the hands of Davion Mintz, who's hit some big shots, or B.J. Boston, who 3 weeks ago I would have said you're crazy to run a play for him, but he's hitting shots. Those are the only two. Olivier Sarr, God love him, maybe things will turn around. He's missed end of the game shot.
Poor Olivier.
But he's a good shot maker, just not at the end of the game.
Yes.
So you got two guys, and you got to get it in their hands. I have no idea how Olivier Sarr ended up shooting a fadeaway one-footer a la Larry Bird, although, didn't go in like Larry Bird would make it. But
no.
Just not good.
Yeah, it was, and I don't know why Cal waited so long to call the timeout. I mean, if there's anything we've learned, it's that this team needs organization and needs structure. They're not good at just coming down and running a play on their own for a game winner. They need a set play from the get-go. So I kind of blame Cal. I think he waited too long. He saw things were falling apart. Why wait until 8 seconds left on the shot clock before calling timeout? This is the play that's going to determine who wins. That was essentially the game, whether we scored or not there.
It makes you wonder what was actually talked about in the huddle. Right, because my guess is that's not what was talked about.
You don't think that was what they drew up?
The fadeaway shot that barely grazes the backboard, not how they drew it up. So it just makes you wonder if they listened after they left the timeout or if Cal just drew up a bad play that had no shot of happening from the get-go. We'll probably never know.
Yeah.
Because they don't really throw anybody under the bus or anything like that. Somebody made a mistake.
Yep. So it was a terrible play, whether it's the fault of the players or the coach. The biggest struggle seemed to be once Florida switched to a zone defense. And I don't help me understand, why do we struggle so much? And it seems like this is year in and year out. I mean, even going back to the 2010 team with Wall and Cousins, they destroyed people until West Virginia threw a 1-3-1 zone at them. It's like every Calipari team acts like they're seeing a zone defense for the first time in their lives. It's like their reaction to a zone defense is like an alien mothership has just landed at half court, and they have no clue what to do. They're just freaked out. Why can we not do anything against the zone? I don't understand.
Well, I mean, there's a simple reason for that, and it's hard for me to blame Calipari for this because I understand kind of how this could happen because he doesn't believe in playing zone defense himself. So when he's practicing offense, what is the defense playing?
They're playing man-to-man.
They're playing man-to-man. So they literally are seeing the alien mothership in the middle of the court because they don't see it. I'm sure that they practice it some during practice against specific opponents. Mm-hmm. But I'm talking about on the everyday, day in and day out. They're practicing switching. They're working on pick and rolls, assuming people are going to switch and move this way because that's the way they're training their defense. But in all reality, teams are like, okay, well, we'll just do the opposite of that and we'll probably beat you.
Yeah, it just seems, and that if that's the case, that seems to me to be poor coaching, that you're not prepared. I mean,
oh, jeez, Tyler. Take
look,
it easy. How do you expect them to get better at the one-on-one defense if they're practicing half their time in zone?
Well, look, it's not like there are all these different types of defenses out there. I mean, you've got man-to-man, you've got a 2-3 or a 3-2 zone, and you got a 1-3-1 zone. That's three defenses. I mean, it's not like there are hundreds of different defenses that you have to prepare for. I mean, it's not like there's the Tutti Frutti defense that somebody's going to come out and play.
Man, I'm scared of that already.
There are three of them.
Somebody whips that out. We are losing. We are losing.
I mean, it just seems to me that you should prepare for every type of defense and should have, set plays that you run against certain types of defense so that your team knows what to do. And it seems like we never know what to do against the zone defense, and it's frustrating.
But do you think we ever become an elite defensive team man-to-man if we sit and practice 10 different defenses all the time? The reason that we're so good at man-to-man, the reason we're so high in our defensive efficiency ratings is because we practice the hell out of that man-to-man, and we're good at it.
Yeah. Well,
so you're going to lose some of that. But it'd be nice if we learned how to hit.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you've got to prepare for any situation. I don't feel like Cal has us prepared for zone defense.
You want me to tell you how to prepare for a zone defense? Recruit players that can shoot the ball.
I mean, it's not hard, right?
It starts with there. So if you didn't draw up that play initially and you're stuck with the team that we have this year, it doesn't matter how many times you practice against the zone defense.
Yep, that's exactly. I mean, you have a couple shooters, you have somebody flash to the middle, you got guys cutting short base. I mean, the zone defense is not that.
Oh, that's
difficult.
Revolutionary, Tyler. Never heard of that.
It's not that difficult to attack, but you do have to have shooters to do that. So
yeah, well, maybe we'll get some eventually.
Yeah,
I mean,
maybe it would have helped to have Dante Allen in more than 4 minutes. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Oh boy, that's a whole other topic for a whole other day, Tyler.
Yep. Well, we got plenty of time to talk about it during the off season.
Yes, we do.
All right, Brandon, do you want some All-Americans with that?
Love it.
2 UK signees for the 2021 class, Damian Collins and Nolan Hickman, both named to the McDonald's All-American team this week. They will be the 40th and 41st such recruits of the Cal era. Are you excited for next year's class, Brandon?
Do you want me to be honest, Tyler?
I want nothing but your honesty.
I will wait and see, my man.
I knew that's what you're going to say.
What did I say about this year, though?
Wait and see.
When we had Terrence Clark and B.J. Boston, I said, you know what? I've seen this show before. It's in syndication. It's on rerun. All right? The guys aren't panning out like they used to. All right? The first 5-6 years, Calipari was here when we were going to 4 Final Fours, won a title. Guys were pretty much panning out how we thought.
Yep.
The last 5 or 6 years, we're shooting 50% on that, which is absolutely devastating when you're trying to win with those players. They're just not panning out like we thought they would. So I'm going to take a wait-and-see approach. I'm also going to take a wait-and-see approach to see if they actually want to play the season or if they opt out. So there's a lot that I'm going to wait and see. I don't care about these all-star games. I don't care about and one mixtapes. Ball is life. Blah, blah, blah. Don't care about it anymore. Show me something on the court. I'll believe it when I see it.
It is fascinating how 12 years ago, before Calipari came, we would have been jumping for joy at signing 2 McDonald's All-Americans. I mean, in a way, Cal has us so spoiled in recruiting because we get 4 or 5 McDonald's All-Americans every year. I mean, I remember, I don't know if you remember this, Brandon, but back in the Tubby days, you and I were at, maybe it was Big Blue Madness, I think, and A.J. Stewart was there for his official visit.
Huge.
And we were like, this dude behind us was talking, was like, oh, hey, there's A.J. Stewart. And we were just like, who's A.J. Stewart? He's like, oh yeah, Tubby's recruiting him, for next year. And we're like, is he any good? Like, oh, he's ranked like 75th. And we're like, oh, I'll take 75th, sure.
Yeah.
We were happy just to get guys in the top 100.
Yeah.
And now we get McDonald's All-Americans every year, and we don't even care because we like you said, we're taking a wait and see approach. How things have changed tremendously with recruiting and our expectations.
Well, that's true, but you also got to think those guys that are 75th aren't going to leave or transfer after 1 year. And they're probably less likely to opt out. So they come with a lot less baggage, but you get them for a longer period of time. Mm-hmm. I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm starting to get really tired of people not panning out and opting out or just, listening to their posse, whatever you call them, their crew, their advisors. I thought at one point Calipari told them to stop listening to those people when they weren't allowed, in the kids' ear, but now it seems like they're running the show.
True.
So I don't know what the deal is. I'm waiting and seeing. Got burned too many times, Tyler.
Yeah, like with anything, I think the key is somewhere in the middle. Get a good mixture of one and dones with veteran guys.
Tyler, we say it all the time. It's just like Diamond Rio. You meet in the middle,
Yes.
neath that old Georgia pine.
They were wise beyond their years.
Absolutely. Oh, boy. Tyler, this year the NCAA tournament could feature the first field of 69, 72, 76 teams. How is that? The NCAA announced that the normal field of 68 will remain. However, if teams cannot compete after the start date of March 16th, they will be replaced with the last teams left out of the tournament. Those replacement teams will not be reseeded, and teams who cannot compete due to COVID once the tourney begins will not compete, and their opponents will automatically advance. Tyler, does this mean UK can still get an at-large bid?
No. Well, that would assume we would have to be. So they're basically said they're going to take the top 4 teams that don't make the tournament.
Right.
List them out. Here's number 1 team, number 2 team, and as teams are unable to play, those teams would be filled in. Mm-hmm. And this has to all happen before the tournament starts. Once the tournament starts,
correct.
Then if somebody has to drop out, they just drop out, and the other team.
I guess it's a forfeit, and the other team goes on. Yes.
Yeah, I don't like this at all because how am I supposed to fill out my bracket? That's my main concern. How am I supposed to fill out my bracket when there's potential that Gonzaga, who would play Poop State or Southwest Texas A&M Central in the first round, has to drop out, and then they've got to play, North Carolina or Michigan State or some team in the first round. I don't like it because filling out the bracket is my favorite day of the year, Selection Sunday, and now I don't even know who potentially could be playing. So I think they should just leave the bracket as it is from once it's set. I don't like the idea of putting other teams in.
Very, very interesting. I will say the winner of this year's bracket contest should get a huge reward. Because, the odds are just totally stacked against you. You have no idea what's going to happen. But what else are you going to do, though? So if you set the field of 68 and somebody can't play, do you just go ahead and move forward and say, okay, well, this first-round person automatically wins?
I think you do.
That does make me wonder, why wouldn't you do that? Because you're doing it for all subsequent rounds of the tournament. Why wouldn't you just go ahead and do it for the first?
Yeah, I agree.
I don't get the big deal with that. It just seems like it's making something more complicated when it doesn't need to be.
I agree. This is why we should be the chairs of the NCAA.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Brandon, much to the delight of Kendall Jenner, former Cat and current Phoenix Suns guard Devin Booker will be making his second All-Star NBA game appearance. Mm-hmm. Booker actually will replace another former Cat, Anthony Davis, who won't be able to play due to injury.
Yeah.
So we got a Cat replacing a Cat.
Nice.
We got another Cat already in the game, Julius Randle, making his first All-Star game.
Yep.
Brandon, did you ever think in 2015 that Devin Booker would be making multiple All-Star games?
No. No, not at all. I thought he was kind of a one-trick pony. He was a shooter, but he's proving that he can create his own shot. He can do more than just come off the screen. And the guy puts up points like crazy. He's a fun player to watch, but nobody pays attention to him because he plays in Phoenix. True. If he played in New York, if he played in L.A., he would be probably a first ballot or first team.
Yeah, he wouldn't have had to have been a replacement.
Exactly.
All-Star.
So it's all about where you play. Carl Towns runs into that in Minnesota. Who watches basketball in Minnesota? Let's just be honest here.
Kirby Puckett, I guess.
Prince and Kirby Puckett.
Not Prince anymore.
Anyway.
Wow.
But yeah, I'm surprised. That team was so loaded, it was hard for anybody to stand out. And he wasn't the standout player on that team by any means.
No.
So I'm surprised that he's turned it on.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think, Carl Towns, I think, also has 2 All-Star game appearances. Who, the number 1 pick, the centerpiece of that team. Mm-hmm. Just crazy to think that Devin Booker, who was the 7th or 8th guy on that team, has now as many All-Star appearances as Carl Towns.
It is kind of weird.
Crazy.
But the guy puts up points. He had a game where he went over 70 points in a game, which is ridiculous.
He does. He's averaging, I think, about 25 points a game right now.
Decent.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. So, yes. Are you going to watch the All-Star game?
No. I haven't watched the All-Star.
When's the last time you watched
I don't watch the
game?
All-Star games. They don't do anything. It's just a glorified layup drill.
It is.
They just throw the ball. Oh, let's see what kind of dunk you can do. Okay. Saw that last year. Let's see what you can do. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else?
It is incredibly boring television.
It is.
I will not be watching it. But congrats to Booker and also to Randall and Davis.
Yeah, absolutely. Great honor for sure. Tyler, somebody needs to check Tubby Smith's desk for missing paperwork, as former UK basketball star Randolph Morris has been indicted on charges he did not report $13 million in earnings. Tyler, do you think the fax is in Tubby's desk and maybe that's all? It's a big misunderstanding? And what's your favorite Randolph Morris memory?
Oh, boy. Well, I mean, I would hope that the Kentucky Department of Revenue has checked their fax machine. But before issuing these, very severe accusations, I do hope they have checked their fax machine.
$13 million's a lot.
That's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And I think what this boils down to, was it intentional or not? We just talked about it. I have a hard time understanding taxes. So maybe, if Randolph Morris did his own taxes, I'm sure I would probably make some mistakes if I was doing it. Maybe this was just an honest mistake that he didn't know how to fill out. He didn't click the right button on his TurboTax.
Or his accountant didn't report $13 million and they're in cahoots. We don't know.
True.
There's a lot of ways this story can unfold. This is just the initial thing. We have no clue if it was Morris. We don't know if it was a mistake, intentional. We don't know if it was his accounting service or whoever he uses, if he uses anyone. A lot of unanswered questions. Long story short, you can't get by without reporting $13 million because we know the government needs to be paid. They need their money, Tyler.
Yep. That's a lot of zeros to leave out, though. It's you could see a smaller amount, but if you missed your $13 million, that seems tough.
That's not just a rounding error.
No, not a rounding error. As far as my favorite Randolph Morris memory, I don't know if there's any. I feel like there was a game maybe against Cincinnati in the NCAA tournament one year where he had a huge game, but he was always just a solid 15-10 type of guy. I don't really remember a game where he just went absolutely crazy. You just kind of always knew what you were going to get with Randolph.
Boy, don't you miss those days? You remember that time?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good time, wasn't it? Yeah, I don't really either. I mean, the biggest memory I have is when you and I were out and about one time and he was out, and we asked one of his buddies that was with him, we said, can we get a picture with Randolph Morris? And they're like, no, man, he doesn't want to do any pictures. So I think either you or I walked by Randolph Morris, and one of us acted like we were taking a picture of the other one, and Randolph's just standing there in the background. Like, okay, well, you don't want to take a picture of us. We're going to get one regardless.
Yep, I remember exactly.
That's my favorite Randolph Morris memory.
that was at the old Blue Moon, wasn't it?
Oh, my goodness. I don't think it's even called the Blue Moon.
No, it's something else now.
Now we sound old.
Yeah.
Okay, boomer. All right. Tyler, interesting segment. I got to say, we started off with a little bit of a downer on the basketball news, but we wrapped it up with our favorite memory of Randolph Morris.
I mean, and who doesn't have their favorite Randolph Morris memory?
Let us know your favorite Randolph Morris memory. What do you remember from the Randolph Morris era? Was it the fax? Was it the mysterious?
I think that's got to be. That's the first thing that comes to my head anytime I hear his name is the fax.
It's true. It's true. Well, we've got a lot more coming up, Tyler. In segment 2, we are going to be talking unemployment, Mitch McConnell, school testing, COVID, some California school board members, maybe in a little bit of hot water.
And this is a great story. You're not going to want to miss this if you haven't heard it
Oh,
yet.
It's good. And the chicken wars are continuing to heat up, Tyler.
Just what we need.
And keep in mind, segment 3, we are doing our candy bar bracket. Stay tuned. We will see you right after the break. Welcome back. Segment 2, Lex Buds and Pick and Roll podcast. As always, check us out on our website, lexbuds.com. And basically type Lex Buds into anything on your internet Google machine, and you will find us. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and everything else in between. Good first segment, Tyler. In segment 3, keep in mind, hang on for that. We are going to be doing our candy bar bracket, our Sweet 16.
Sweet 16.
If you will. But before we do that, we have to cover the world news of the day because that's what you tune into this show for. And Tyler, do you just want to lead things off and let's rock and roll through this segment?
Let's do it.
Give the people their news.
We're going to start with some local news. Brandon, have you heard about Kentuckians who are being asked to pay back their unemployment checks?
I heard whispers about this before, but tell me more.
All right, just to give you some background on this. About a year ago, our governor, Andy Beshear, encouraged people to be, quote, healthy at home. I mean, how many times did we hear the phrase, healthy at home?
Don't say it again.
Basically, what this meant, he said people would be eligible for unemployment money if they left their jobs because they felt like their working conditions could expose them to the virus. So people started leaving their jobs and filing for unemployment. And around this time last summer, people began receiving notices that their claims were under investigation and received a bill asking for their money back.
No.
that they received for their unemployment. The government, Kentucky government, asked people for their money back for their unemployment checks. So a proposed bill currently going through the legislature would give our labor cabinet the ability to waive these payments if it was made in error by the unemployment office and not due to someone trying to fraud or cheat the system. Brandon, do you think it's fair for Kentucky to ask for money back from people who were unemployed?
They better pass the damn bill. If you gave the money out and you told people to feel safe at home, there's no way to prove fraud to begin with, because it's up to the individual person to decide if they feel safe at their job or not. So if you've set that as your standard, that is your call, and that's made by the governor. I didn't know all the details on that. That is unbelievable. If you are putting it in the hands of each individual person to decide if they're safe, how can you prove that there's fraud involved? That's totally subjective. It's up to the individual person. If you sent the money out, they get to keep it. It's a mulligan. You screwed up. Better luck next time.
Yeah.
Don't do it again. Lesson learned. He was only on the job for less than 6 months when he started making all those announcements. People screw up when they start new jobs. It's okay, man. Nobody's perfect. You messed up. You didn't need to let this go. And don't ask for the money back. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine a few years from now when we're looking at our next election for governor, and he's on the debate stage with somebody, and they point out, Mary Smith, daughter who had 2 daughters, had to leave her job because she didn't feel safe. Spent all of her money on grocery bills and electric bills, and then got a bill back from the government to pay it back. I mean, that's a devastating look for our governor if there's going to be all these, and these stories are out there.
Oh, it sounds like it.
And people aren't going to have the money to pay. People are spending them on their bills. I mean, they're not going to have this to pay back. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous to even ask for it. I mean, you made a mistake. You're just going to have to eat that money.
Okay, I didn't know if we'd agree on this or not. So that's interesting. I mean, everybody makes mistakes. The governors make mistakes. Presidents make mistakes. Mm-hmm. He'll probably never say something like that again, correct? He'll make sure that there's very strict guidelines to say if your workplace is deemed a place where it could be unsafe, we will deem that, by the way.
Right.
I'm sure he's learned his lesson. But if I were him, I would get out in front of this and be the vocal leader to say we need to fix this now instead of waiting for the Republican legislature to come and fix the problem. He needs to get out in front of it just from political purposes and just say, hey, we got to fix this now.
Yeah. Should be noted it was a Republican legislator who filed this bill. But between this and what we talked about last week with the 400,000 unread emails, not been a good couple of weeks for the PR of Governor Beshear.
Yikes. Well, Tyler, you're a big avid Mitch McConnell fan, so I'm curious to hear your thoughts on these two
love
quotes.
Mr. McConnell.
So instead of reading a big, long introduction, I'm just going to give you 2 quotes that Mitch McConnell gave this week, and I want to hear which one you think is more accurate.
Okay.
The first one. Mitch McConnell says, U.S. households, quote, U.S. households, U.S. households, quote, are sitting on a historic pile of pent-up cash waiting for the economy to reopen, end quote. The other quote comes when asked about Trump running in 2024. He says that he would support Trump if he wins the 2024 Republican nomination. Tyler, what are your thoughts? I mean, those are 2 very different things, but do you believe both of those things? Which one's your favorite? You're a Mitch fan. Tell me all about it, fanboy.
Well, Mitch is my boy, as anybody who listens to this show knows. The second quote does not surprise me one bit. I mean, of course Mitch McConnell is going to support whoever the Republican candidate is. If Osama bin Laden was the Republican candidate for President of the United States, Mitch McConnell would have supported him. For him, party is above everything else, above common sense, above what your own personal values are. It's all about the party for him. So no surprise there. I am fascinated by this record-breaking piles of cash that everyone he thinks has laying around. But Brandon, where are you keeping your pile of cash? I've come to your show here at your house every week to record our show. I haven't seen your pile of cash laying around yet.
I can't tell you about it. I'd have to kill you, first of all. So a couple things. First, to play devil's advocate, I think that whoever wins the nomination for either party, whether it's the Libertarian Party, the Republican Party, or the Democrat Party, if they win the nomination, that those leaders would say that they would support that leader as well.
Yes, you're probably right.
I would almost bet the farm on it. I'd bet my next paychecks for the next year that whoever runs, if it's a donkey that runs and they win the nomination.
It's just funny because they clearly despise each other.
Yes, they do. They've just recently, really laid into each other verbally.
Yeah.
And then as far as the pent-up cash, I wouldn't say pent-up cash would be the word, but I do think people are eager to get out and spend money like they used to did. Right? Like they want to go out to big events. They want to go to concerts. They want to go to sporting events. They want to go out to the movies, if those are even going to be open anymore. They want to get out and do these things, but I think saying that they have a pent-up amount of cash is probably inaccurate. I think a better way to say it would have been people are eager to get out and do the things that they normally did before all this crap happened. And hopefully we'll get to do that soon. Do you think that would be a better way to say maybe the same thing, or do you think that's totally different from what Mitch was saying?
Yeah, I think it's just a bad... The way he said it was just bad, because we're looking at record-breaking unemployment, and there are people who don't know where they're getting their next check from.
Yeah.
I think it just shows how out of touch he is to just kind of make this broad, general statement that Americans and Kentuckians are sitting on all this money when there are so many people where that's not the case.
Yeah, so our first two stories in this segment, Tyler, have been about political leaders saying the wrong things and probably wishing they'd said it differently, right?
Yeah, well, we've got some more people saying the wrong things a little bit later. So.
Oh, I can't wait to hear about it. Tyler, what do we got up next?
All right, Brandon. This story hit very close to home for me this week.
Okay.
But the U.S. Department of Education announced that it will not allow states to forego the federally required standardized testing in schools this year. So, Brandon, is this an example of, A, causing even more stress and frustration for teachers, students, and parents, B, the government continuing to be out of touch with the needs of schools, C, setting impossible expectations when many schools are still virtual, or D, all of the above? And please make sure to completely bubble in your choice of the soft lead number 2 pencil.
That was pretty funny, Tom. I like that a lot. Okay, now I don't know how you and I are going to feel about this because there's teachers in your family, right?
Yes.
So here's what I think, because when I first read the story, I thought, how are you going to do standardized tests when kids haven't been in the class? But then I sat down and thought about it for a few minutes, and I thought, you know what? We do need to have these tests. You know why?
Why?
Because we need to know the implications of this gigantic science experiment that we just ran for the last year and see what impact it has on students so that we know if this was a good idea or a bad idea in what we did. I've been a big proponent of keeping kids in schools. I understand the first couple of weeks trying to figure everything out, but after the 53rd study saying that kids should be in school, I became convinced that kids should be in school, right? I think it's important that we understand the implications of what just happened this year, okay? Do you penalize people for it? No. But since we've been in this mode of running scientific, social experiments all year, why not have a standardized social experiment for this year and see what happens on that test when you take kids out of the classroom for nearly 12 months? I think that it needs accountability is key. The leadership, Fayette County Schools where we're at, they need to have these results. The state needs these results, and the nation needs these results. When this happens again, and it will happen again, there'll be more viruses and things happen. They need to look at these results and say, holy crap balls, Batman, that was a really bad idea. We don't need to do that anymore. So I look at it from that front and not as, okay, we're going to penalize you for not knowing the answer to number 78 on page 43 of the test.
Right.
It's about an experiment to see if this was worth it or not.
I agree that it would be good to know the impact, but that assumes that you can ascertain that information from a standardized test. My whole complaint with standardized tests is that it does a poor job already of gauging where students are. I don't think you can.
Agreed.
Agreed. If you want to know the impact that this has had on kids, go ask their teachers. Go talk to their teachers who have been, in Fayette County, have been back with their kids in school for the first week this year. They can tell you how it's impacted them. Okay,
how has it impacted?
We don't need to spend millions of dollars on a standardized test to try and find out how this has impacted kids, because we already know how it's impacted kids. Kids are going to be behind. I'm sure if you ask any teacher teaching right now, how are your kids right now in the last day of February compared to where they normally are on the last day of February, they're going to tell you they're behind. We don't need millions of dollars to tell us that. And these tests, I mean, what we always talk about, finding different ways to evaluate kids besides just multiple choice tests. Hey, some people are just not good at taking multiple choice tests. Well, if you're one of those, well, I guess you're out of luck, because that's the only way we're going to assess you on it is a multiple choice test. Sorry. I mean, these tests do not. Then you have kids who don't even care about that, who don't even try. You have the kids like, well, this test has no impact on me. Why should I even try? I mean, when I gave tests when I was teaching, you had kids who didn't give two craps about the test. You had some of your smartest kids who wouldn't even try because it did not impact them whether they tried or not. So standardized tests do not work. They do not gauge anything. It's a waste of money. Teachers could be spending this time actually teaching and trying to get the kids back to where they need to be, but instead we're wasting hours and hours and hours and lots of money and resources on these tests instead of actually trying to teach kids.
Tyler, I agree with you 100% on the fact that standardized tests suck. That is not my argument. They suck. They are terrible. I was terrible at standardized tests. However, that's what the government has deemed the way to measure. And we know if that's what they deem to measure, that's what they're going to go by. Mm-hmm. So I agree that they suck and we should change it, but this is what we have right now. So they are terrible. However, when you're looking at future decisions made by like your local county schools, like let's use Fayette County Public Schools because we're here. They have a decision matrix. Okay, we're all familiar with the decision matrix. Let me tell you what can't fit in the decision matrix: anecdotal stories about how kids are behind. Mm-hmm. They want data points. If they don't have data points and we don't have a way to quantify how bad it is, they can't fit it in their matrix, which is the only way they make a decision. It's very evident they don't listen to the anecdotal stories about kids not logging on, the fact that failing grades have tripled in Fayette County schools. Yep. That didn't work. So as a parent, I'm thinking, okay, well, if these stories about kids crying during their Zoom meetings, people not logging on, and kids not learning don't work, we need a quantifiable number to say, okay, between 2019 and 2020, here's how much the points dropped. Mm-hmm. And it's a standard across the board. I agree that they're terrible, and they're a waste of time and money. But there's no other way to get the story of the kids into a decision matrix other than to have a number, which is stupid. Mm-hmm. The fact that I think everyone at Fayette County Public Schools that makes decisions should resign is a total other topic because of their failed leadership, and the fact that they ruined these kids' lives for 12 months over the fact that they didn't want them to go back in is another story. Total piss-poor leadership. You have to do the standardized test, though. It's the only way to speak to these people.
Yeah, which is unfortunate that this is. I mean, this is the metric because it's the easiest metric to use. I mean, it gives you clear. Okay, kid either got this question right or they got this question wrong. They either scored in this group or they scored in this group. Okay, here's male versus female. Here's white versus black versus it just makes everything in neat little data points.
Exactly.
That look nice on paper but aren't a true reflection.
Why can't we just teach kids?
Yeah.
Don't teach kids to the test.
How did we ever teach
them
before these tests? I don't know. How did they ever do it?
It's dumb. I don't like it at all.
All right.
Glad I got that off my chest. That was a good conversation, though, and it needs to be had. Just to be honest. All right, Tyler, we've talked some COVID already on the show. However, I think it's important to note that the U.S. hit a grim milestone this week as deaths of people who had COVID reached 500,000. Cases are dropping. Vaccines are going out to lots of people. Is this the last major milestone we have to hit?
Boy, I hope so. What is still amazing to me, you look at the number 500,000, and you just think, holy cow, that's an incredible number. But we still have people who think this is a hoax, who think this is some government conspiracy, who say, you're not giving me a vaccine. What will it take to get people on board? I mean, is it a million? Is it 2 or is there no number that people would like? 500,000 is just insane. That's I can't even wrap my head around 500,000 people. Yet there are still people who think it's not serious or it's a hoax or they don't believe in the science or the medicine. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm just like, what number do we have to get everybody to agree what's happening here? Yeah,
there are a couple things. First of all, I understand how people could say in the initial part of it, well, this is more hubbity-dubbity stuff from the government, right? Because we've seen all that was happening. If you remember what was happening at the time when all this started, it was total infighting. The Russia stuff had just happened. There was impeachment going on. There was chaos in Washington, D.C. And that is part of the repercussions of bad politics in Washington, D.C. People start to lose faith in the government.
Yep.
Now, so initially I get it. But after a certain point, it's like, okay, we probably need to get a vaccine. The microchips probably aren't in there from Bill Gates, right? That's another one. My question is on the microchips. There's multiple doses per vial. How do you know you're getting your microchip, right, from the vaccine if they're all just floating around in there? Because they take multiple doses. There's a lot of questions to answer that kind of debunk the whole, I'm getting microchip thing. But once you've went down that path, I don't think there's any bringing you back.
No.
Once you've went down the path of the government's trying to poison us, we're going to be microchipped, you're not turning around. There's nothing that you and I can say that's going to change somebody's mind. It's done.
Yeah, you're
in my opinion. I mean,
you're
you're
down
too
the
far
rabbit
gone.
hole of that wasn't really snowing in Texas a couple of weeks ago. That was just Bill Gates dumping stuff from the sky to make it look like it was snowing. I
He
mean,
did a really good job. No, but really, I mean, once you went down the rabbit hole too far, I think it's just too hard to pull some people back. And I don't have enough time or energy to do it. I've got 2 kids at home. I've been trying to teach them for 12 months at home. I don't have the mental energy to fight with somebody that thinks there's space lasers shooting snow down from the sky from Bill Gates.
Well, hopefully the number doesn't have to keep growing too much more to try to convince them.
Yeah, hopefully that's the last
All
one.
right. We've got 2, I think, pretty good stories to wrap this up. We've had some doom and gloom here for the better part of segment 2. But we've got 2 really good stories here that we're going to finish strong here, Brandon.
I am excited. Let's see what we got.
All right. So we have seen some really interesting stories this year of people struggling to use Zoom and the virtual meeting technology during the pandemic. I mean, we had the guy who was taking his clothes off, didn't realize his camera was still on. We had last week talked about the cat filter guy. But the Oakley Union Elementary School District in California may have just told all those people to hold their beer.
Oh boy!
Have you heard about this one, Brandon?
I heard about it, but I was waiting for you to actually tell me about this. I want an honest reaction.
All right, so at a recent meeting, the board members apparently thought that their discussion wasn't yet being broadcasted, which is mistake number 1. If you're on these meetings, just assume everything.
So this is the regular board meeting.
Yeah, regular board meeting. Mistake number 1, you got to just assume all this is being recorded. So I'm going to read you 3 comments that were made by some people at the board meeting. All right?
Board members.
Yeah, all of these are board members, and the topic that they were discussing is the criticism that they were getting on social media from parents in the community. Okay, so here's board member number 1.
Okay.
Blank, if you're going to call me out, I'm going to blank you up. Referring to a parent.
Good.
Okay. The second comment from the president of the board, no less, said, quote, "It's really unfortunate they want to pick on us because they want their babysitters back." And a third member said that his brother has a delivery service for medical marijuana and said most of his clients were parents with kids at school and that the parents just want the kids to go back to school so they can smoke their pot. And then the kicker, what made the whole thing great, is when a board member finally realized that the meeting isn't private and that there were people listening, and they just say, "Uh-oh." They said, "We have the meeting open to the public right now." And you can just, it's kind of like the cat filter guy. You can hear the panic in everyone's voices. 2 days later, the entire board resigned. Brandon, when are people going to learn on these meetings?
And this is the sad part. This is so many interesting moving parts to this story. The sad part for me is I used to think that our own public schools was a partner in our education. Now I feel like they're an adversary. So when I see stuff like this, I feel like, you know what? I wonder how many other school boards feel that way, because this can't be the only school board in the country, and probably there's some people in the state of Kentucky that have similar sentiments. Now, would they say it on a Zoom call? No, they're probably smarter than that.
Yes,
I mean, rub the brain cells together in your head and get them to work right. Don't just assume everything on the internet's recorded.
Yes.
And you'll live a lot better life. Okay? But they should have resigned. I mean, what else are they going to do?
Right.
I mean, they got caught with their hands in the cookie jar. They got to go. I would love to have one of them on our show or something.
That's not a bad idea.
I think that would be interesting to see where they got that sentiment, because I think I don't understand the babysitter thing. I mean, people don't want to pay babysitters for their kids. If parents want their kids to go back to school to smoke pot, I'm sure there's some of them that do, but most of them want it just so they can go back to a regular job to make money.
Right.
I mean, it's really stifling the economy. So I don't know. That's pretty funny, man. I got to say, karma is a BI. Thanks for blanking those words out, Tyler.
Well, I thought about saying them, and we could just bleep it out later. But
that's pretty funny, though. I like that.
Yeah, it is. It's funny, but also a little bit sad that is the perception that the school board had as to why parents wanted their kids to go back to school.
Do you think that's a widespread belief from other school boards? I'm just asking.
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to put words in people's mouths, but I mean, like you said, I'm sure, and every person in every job complains and blows things out of proportion, but you just got to know better than to.
Yeah, just be smarter. If anything, they should have resigned for their inability to learn Zoom after a year.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why they should have resigned.
Send them to a Zoom PD for the next year.
Oh, boy, Tyler, this is probably my favorite story of the week.
All right, let's go.
Tyler, it seems like the U.S. is involved in endless war these days. And by war, I mean the chicken sandwich war. This week, Taco Bell announced it was developing a new secret weapon in the chicken wars, a chicken sandwich taco. Tyler, it starts with premium all-white meat crispy chicken marinated in jalapeno buttermilk, then seasoned with bold Mexican spices and rolled in a crunchy tortilla chip coating. It is then served in a puffy bread shaped in the iconic taco form. The whole thing is then topped with flavorful, signature creamy chipotle sauce, and customers can order that version, or they can order the extra spicy version, which comes topped with pickled jalapeno slices. Tyler, so many questions with this. First, is a taco a sandwich? Are you going to try it? And do you think Taco Bell can win the chicken war? Wow.
I believe I disagreed when it said premium chicken. I don't believe there's anything premium coming from Taco Bell, just from my own experiences.
That's what they say, so it's got to be true.
So is this available yet, or is this coming?
It's coming.
Soon?
It's
okay.
coming, yeah.
And it's chicken. It's wrapped in a crunchy tortilla shell, and then it's wrapped in a soft the bun.
No, it's in a puffy bread shaped in the form of a taco.
Okay.
So it's a puffy bread, not necessarily a taco shell, but not a slice of bread either. It's a puffy bread.
Gotcha. Okay. Am I going to try it? No.
Why not?
Because I have not eaten at Taco Bell for the better part of a decade, and I think my stomach is very thankful for that.
Okay, fair enough.
And I think it would probably, I don't feel like you can just go back into Taco Bell. I think I would need to ease into it for my stomach's sake to try to.
Don't you think this delicious premium all white meat crispy chicken is the perfect way to get reintroduced? Because I love Taco Bell. You know how much I love Taco Bell.
You do. I'm surprised you haven't had one already.
Yeah, well, when it comes to I think they're going to test it in some big markets first, and then roll it out to the whole country on a limited time basis.
So you've already got your next vacation planned.
Dude, I'm so excited about this. When I saw the pictures, it looks absolutely delicious. The spicy version with the jalapeno looks great. Is a taco a sandwich? Heck to the no. It is not a sandwich. Taco's not a sandwich. I am going to try it. I'll probably try more than one. I don't think Taco Bell was coming out to win the chicken sandwich war, because you've had Chick-fil-A, you've got Wendy's, you got Popeyes, you got all these places entering the chicken sandwich war, right? I don't think that they're going to win it, but what they've done is they've created an entire other section of people that don't want the sandwich, but they want a great chicken sandwich in another form, right?
Yeah, I mean it's a unique item. I mean, if you're wanting a chicken taco, fried chicken, I mean, I don't know any place else you could get one of these.
Yeah, this isn't a taco though. This is a sandwich.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This is on puffy bread shape. I can't wait to see what puffy bread means.
What does that mean, puffy bread?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what puffy bread means, but I mean the chicken is rolled in crunchy tortilla chip coating. I mean, I like tortilla chips. I like jalapenos. I like chicken. I like tacos. I like the sauce. I'm sure it's going to be great.
It does sound like all those things together theoretically should be good.
When one comes to this area, Tyler, I'll bring it on the show. I'll let you know how the chicken is. I'm really excited about it. This is one of the most exciting things that's happened to me in the last month.
Wow, really? Okay.
I can't wait. I'm really pumped about it.
So do you think that this will be better than Chick-fil-A, or you think it's going to be your go-to chicken sandwich now?
It's hard for me to say, Tyler. I'm just going to keep my options open.
Okay.
Keep my options
Fair.
open. And when we do the taste test, I may bring in a Chick-fil-A spicy chicken sandwich just for comparison's sake.
I like it.
And I'll give you my honest opinion on it.
All right. I look forward to it. Well, coming up next segment, we had planned on doing our own taste test with the vegan Kit Kat bar, but we learned this week that it is not going to be available in the United States. Very disappointing.
It is.
So instead of doing our Kit Kat taste test, we decided we're just going to do a whole candy bar bracket. So we're going to have that coming up in segment 3. Do not go anywhere. Stay right with us for round 1 of the Sweet 16 candy bar bracket.
Oh boy, can't wait.
Welcome back, episode 46, Lex Buds and Pick and Roll, the Joe Biden edition.
Oh,
our 46th president.
Look at you.
Yes, thank you.
Never cease to amaze.
Segment 3, we've got a fun segment planned. We are going to do our Sweet 16 candy bar bracket. So we have chosen 16 of the most popular candy bars. We've put them into a bracket, and we are going to go through the first round today.
I'm excited, Tyler. And it should be noted that these are candy bars, not candy. So this doesn't include like your Sour Patch Kids, your Lemon Heads, your Gumballs, stuff like that. This is candy bars.
Yes. So that we had a strict criteria. So all those you mentioned, M&M's also not a candy bar.
Nope.
They are not allowed.
Nope.
This has to be a candy bar. Kind of a solid kind of one piece of candy.
There we go.
I think is the criteria here. So we're going to go through each of the first round matchups. We will vote on our favorite candy.
Mm-hmm.
If we have a winner, we'll go ahead and advance them. But if we have a split vote, we're going to put those out to a vote on social media. So make sure you're following us on Facebook and at LexBuds on Twitter.
Yep.
So that you can have your voice heard in our candy bracket.
And this is going to be great because it doesn't look like Kentucky's necessarily going to be in the Sweet 16 in the NCAA tournament. So what's the next best alternative? A candy bar Sweet 16 type. This makes total sense to me.
Exactly. Brandon, are you excited about this?
Tyler, I am so excited. I mean, I've got a little bit of a sugar rush here. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I'm ready to get going.
Do you have an early favorite looking at the bracket?
You know, we've got all the big hitters here. I mean, when you're looking at brand names, you've got your Reese's, you've got your Kit Kats, you've got your Hershey's chocolate bar. I mean, these are heavy hitters here. You got your Snickers.
Yep.
But there are some dark horses here that I may like that you may not. So we're really going to count on our audience to break the tie here.
Yes. Because we don't want Brandon's terrible palate to influence the bracket too much.
Jeez Louise.
As you almost did with our fast food bracket when you tried to vote out Texas Roadhouse every round.
Well, they had it coming to them. So, Tyler, we've got this broken up. It's Sweet 16. We got pods of 4 teams that are going to go into matchups. Let's start with the first 4. If you think it's a good idea.
Okay.
The first 4, we have Reese's versus 100 Grand, and the winner of that plays the winner of Baby Ruth and Almond Joy, Tyler. So let's go to our first matchup. This is the Reese's candy bar and the 100 Grand. Do you want to give a brief description of each of these, Tyler?
All right, yeah. So I think everybody knows the Reese's. You've got the chocolate and peanut butter cup of Reese's. I think everybody knows that one. The 100 Grand, if you're not familiar with the 100 Grand, is chocolate, caramel, and crisp rice. So a combination of chocolate, caramel, crisp rice. First question for you, Brandon, do you say caramel or caramel?
Oh, gosh. That's a great question. Caramel?
Yeah, me too. I'm a caramel.
Caramel. I just had to think about it first. The caramel. It's got caramel on it. I don't know if that's right or not. So, Tyler, what are you going with on this one?
This is the easiest pick of the whole first round for me. Okay. I think Reese's in an absolute landslide. To me, Reese's is probably the favorite coming into this bracket. I would probably put them as the overall number 1 seed. This is Kentucky versus Ryder in the first round. This is all Reese Cups.
Kentucky versus Ryder. That's funny. You know what? I am not a big Reese Cup fan. However, just on legacy alone, I will give them the first round victory over the 100 Grand. Now, I like caramel and crispy rice. Okay, so I'm a fan of those two things, but 100 Grand just doesn't take it over the top. There's nothing special about it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that filler candy when you're handing candy out on Halloween and you're like, Just give the kids the $100,000. They're not going to care.
Right.
It's the filler thing in the bags of like 1,000 pieces that you get for Halloween.
Yeah. If you're wanting caramel or crisp rice, there are better options. I think.
So I'm going with Reese's on that one.
Okay. At least I'm a little concerned though that you don't seem too excited about Reese's moving forward.
All right, Tyler. So what do you got next?
Okay, next we have Baby Ruth, which is you got your peanuts, your caramel, your nougat, and it's all covered in milk chocolate.
Sounds delicious on the surface.
Then you got your Almond Joy, which what do we know about Almond Joy?
Almond Joys have nuts, Mounds don't.
That's correct. One of the greatest ad campaigns of all time.
Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't, Tyler. And in this particular matchup, if we're talking Baby Ruth and Almond Joy, I feel like a nut, Tyler. I'm feeling nutty today. Almond Joy is one of my favorite candy bars.
Oh, really?
Yes, I absolutely love Almond Joy.
You like the almonds or the coconut or just the combination?
Tyler, I love coconut so much.
Really?
I absolutely love coconut. Anything with coconut in it, I'm a huge fan. And the fact that it's got almonds, it's like that perfect salty, sweet, and then the coconut gives it a little texture that takes it over the top for me. So I'm going Almond Joy.
Okay. Well, I hate coconut. I hate anything with coconut.
Tyler.
It's too, like, the texture of it, it takes forever to chew it up, and I don't know. I just do not like the texture of coconut. If you put coconut on a Chick-fil-A sandwich, I would throw it in the trash. I hate coconut.
I would love it. It's like a Hawaiian chicken sandwich. I would be all over that.
So I have to go Baby Ruth on this one. Anything for my Baby Ruth.
Tyler, do you eat Baby Ruth bars?
I mean, on a very rare occasion. Like I said, if it's in the bag of Halloween candy,
Tyler,
I'll eat it.
Okay, so
I'm never eating an Almond
I just
Joy.
gave you the Reese's. I just gave you that. I was going to vote in the last matchup $100,000 over the Reese's, but I said, you know what? Tyler really likes the Reese's, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I wasn't willing to die on the hill of trying to get the $100,000 to win. But you have left me hanging with Baby Ruth, and you were taking out Almond Joy.
I didn't know you had such strong affection for Almond Joy.
I cannot believe this. I'm in shock.
I mean, it's not like Baby Ruth is some trash candy bar. And I mean,
it depends on who you ask.
Well, clearly.
Jeez Louise, I can't believe you screwed over Almond Joy, Tyler. This is unbelievable. We've got our first controversy of the tournament.
We do, yep.
Moving on, Tyler. We're going to have to put that up to a vote.
That one's going up to a vote. Baby Ruth versus Almond Joy.
I don't like the way this is going, Tyler, already. I mean, I'm very upset about this.
Okay.
Let's move on to the next quad, if you will.
Okay.
Next quad of 4 teams. We have, and these are some big ones: Kit Kat, Oreo Chocolate, Take 5, and Twix.
That's a power region right there.
It is a power region.
That is the region of death, I think. Right there.
It's going to be tough. So, Tyler, do you want to describe the Kit Kat and the Oreo Chocolate?
All right. Well, Kit Kat, you've got your wafer covered in chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also get the 4 separate pieces of the Kit Kat bar.
Yeah.
Now, the Oreo chocolate bar, this is kind of, they're kind of the new player in the candy bar industry. Kit Kat is kind of like the old guard, the Indiana, whereas Oreo chocolate is kind of the Gonzaga. They're kind of new, but they are making waves.
They are.
Oreo chocolate bars, you've got your bits of Oreo cookies, you've got the smooth vanilla cream, and you got it all covered in milk chocolate.
How can that be bad?
How can you go wrong?
I don't know.
This is an intriguing battle, Brandon.
Buddy, I don't know. What are you thinking, Ty? I mean, these are heavy hitters. This is not an easy matchup here. What are your thoughts?
Well, I have been very loyal to the Kit Kat bar for a long time. It's one of my favorite candies as a kid. It's still one of the candies that I enjoy the most today. When the kids go trick-or-treating, I always go through their stash for some Kit Kat bars. You can break them up. You can share them. I mean, you get 4. You really get 4 pieces of candy.
Yeah, it's 4 pieces of fun in each pack.
So I'm going to go Kit Kat, but if we do this again in the next year or two, Oreo chocolate might pass them up. But for now, I'm hanging on to the Kit Kat bar.
Tyler, I got to tell you, there's nothing more satisfying than snapping apart the pieces of the Kit Kat. It's like, do I want to be crazy and eat 2 at once? Nope. Pop, and then you just pop it right. It's that satisfying click.
Yes.
And you feel it in your hands. It's hard to top that. And I think Oreo is making waves, but they're the new kid on the block. They're not ready.
Yeah.
They're that team that's in the tournament for the first time and they get nervous playing the big dog. And that's what happened in this one. I'm going to go with Kit Kat.
All right. Kit Kat moves on to the Elite 8.
Yep. So next time we got the Take 5 versus Twix.
Yep. Take 5, if you're not familiar with Take 5, the 5 in the title refers to the 5 ingredients, which is chocolate, peanuts, caramel, peanut butter, and pretzels. That's a lot stashed into one candy bar, Brandon.
Yeah.
Twix. I'm not sure what you call the...
what do they call it?
Well, I just looked this up on Wikipedia, and they called it a biscuit. I'm not sure if I would call it a biscuit.
A biscuit.
But since Wikipedia says it, we're going to call it a biscuit.
Well, then you know it's true.
With caramel and milk chocolate. Brandon, who you got on this one? Twix, again, kind of a traditional power, but Take 5 has come on strong in recent years.
Take 5 is an intriguing topic, but I feel like that the candy maker for Take 5 just looked around and said, hey, Bob, what do we got left over in the silos over here? Oh, we got pretzels. Can you just dump that all together and make sure it sticks together with some chocolate? We'll call it Take 5. People eat it up. I mean, it sounds creative on the surface, but it sounds like leftover candy bar smashed into one bar. Okay. And in my opinion, Twix has done nothing wrong to lose this game. They're very consistent. It's something that I look forward to when I take my 10% off the top of my kids' candy stash for Halloween, because we're their managers. Exactly. We get our 10% cut off the top. So I'm going Twix on this one.
Interesting. Do you prefer the left or the right Twix? Which one's better?
I don't know. That's like asking me which side of the Kit Kat I like more. I don't know. I mean, these are the questions I don't know.
Let me tell you what I like about Take 5. If you want a candy bar with pretzels in it, who else has a pretzel in their candy? They are the only candy bar, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, on this entire bracket with pretzels. And let me tell you, I love chocolate-covered pretzels.
Oh, okay.
One of my favorite snacks. Every time my wife and I go to Trader Joe's, they have the big bags of chocolate-covered pretzels.
And you get your name written all over.
I get it every single time.
Interesting.
So for me, I'm going Take 5.
Whoa.
Because I love chocolate and pretzels. And you throw in the peanut butter and the peanuts. It's just fantastic. It's so unique. And I think Take 5 stands out for their creativity.
Wow.
So we're going to have to put this one up for a vote.
Wow.
Take 5 versus Twix.
Jeez Louise, Tyler. I didn't see Twix getting such a hard turn there. I didn't see it going there.
Well, that's why this is the bracket of death.
That's going to be tough. Either way, whoever wins that one is going to have a hard time against Kit Kat. Let's be honest. It's going to be tough.
Yep, I agree.
Now let's move over to the other side of the bracket, Tyler. We're only going to cover the first round today. Now that should be said. So we have got 4 more matchups to go through, and that will bring us down to our Elite 8. And we'll cover that on the next episode.
That sounds like a plan.
So let's go to our next squad, Tyler. What do we got?
All right, we've got the battle of the Hershey's mixed bag. You know, when you buy your bag of Hershey's, the little miniatures, you've got the Hershey bars, you've got the little cracker bars, and then you have the little yellow Mr. Good bars.
Yes.
So round 1, we're pitting these two friends. They're now foes. We've got Hershey's versus Mr. Good bar. You, of course, have your traditional milk chocolate Hershey bar versus Mr. Good bar, which is basically the same thing as a Hershey bar, only with peanuts.
Yeah.
So we have what appears to me this should be another no-brainer for me. I don't think Mr. Good bar does anything spectacular. It's just kind of bland.
Well, that's why they call it Good Bar. They don't call it Great Bar. It's good.
It's good enough. It is good enough. Exactly. So, you know, when you reach in, when you get those mixed bags, who goes for the Mr. Good bar first?
I don't know.
I'm always going for the Hershey first. I'm going Hershey over Mr. Good bar.
Yeah, Hershey, just for legacy alone, I think Hershey has got to make it. And I think the underappreciated aspect of this is the Hershey bar can also be used to make s'mores. And we love making s'mores here at the house with the kids. So, I mean, it does double duty. It's great to eat on its own, but it's the perfect complement when you're making s'mores.
I agree. I was saving my s'more analogy for later rounds, but I'm glad you went ahead and mentioned that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was an easy one. Hershey's in a landslide, in my opinion. That was probably the biggest blowout for me so far the first round.
Yeah, I agree. Hershey's all the way. Okay, so who will Hershey's face? Well, they will go against the winner of Butterfinger, which, of course, is you got your crispy peanut butter core covered in chocolate.
Absolutely.
Versus Milky Way, which is your caramel and nougat covered in chocolate.
Yeah.
So, Brandon, are you going peanut butter covered in chocolate or your caramel and nougat covered in chocolate?
All right, so let me say this. I don't really care for peanut butter and candy.
Okay, interesting.
Okay. It's not my thing at all. However, nobody better lay a finger on my Butterfinger.
All right,
I like Butterfinger. I grew up with, they had the Simpsons commercial with Bart Simpson. Don't lay a finger on my Butterfinger. It takes me back to a time. You know, it's like when you hear a song sometimes and it puts you back in a memory.
Yep.
When I see Butterfingers or I have one, it takes me back to a more simple time in my life when I would eat the Butterfinger bar. I don't really have any memories of a Milky Way. To me, it's kind of like milk toast bland. It's like the Mitt Romney of the tournament. If Mitt Romney were in this tournament and he were running against someone, that Milky Way is kind of like Mitt Romney. It's kind of like
Mitt Romney for a candy bar. He's a Milky Way.
Okay, a Milky Way, I guess. But I'm not excited about it.
It'll do, right?
It'll do.
So you're going Butterfinger?
I'm going Butterfinger.
All right. I'm not a big fan of either of these, but I'm going to go with Butterfinger just because of, as you mentioned, the exceptional campaign ad. One of the great lines of any product, the nobody better lay a finger on my Butterfinger.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's poetry.
It just rolls off the tongue.
Poetry.
So even though I'm not a big fan, I'm giving them extra credit for their marketing. I got Butterfinger.
Yeah, because you got to look at the whole picture here, Tyler. It's not just about who has the sexy pick or who has the best ingredient. It's like looking at a basketball team and saying, well, they have the best player. But you also got to look at the coaching. You got to look at who shoots better, who plays better. You got to look at everything.
A lot of intangibles.
Exactly. This isn't just a one-trick pony tournament. You got to look at the whole picture.
Exactly.
All right, we got one more quad left, Tyler. And I think this one has some pretty big ones as well. And these four, we have Snickers versus Nestle Crunch and Payday versus Three Musketeers. So, Tyler, let's start out with the first matchup here. Snickers versus Nestle Crunch. Do you want to give people the description of both, please?
All right, so Nestle Crunch, you've got your chocolate and crisped rice. And then Snickers, you've got your nougat, your caramel, your peanuts, all covered in chocolate.
What are you going with here, Tyler?
This is a tough one. Let me ask you a clarifying question.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so with each of these candy bars, are we only including the candy bar itself, or do we also get to include kind of the family of candy bars? So, for example, with Reese Cups, can we include the Reese's family? So we can include Reese's Pieces. Can we include the Fast Break or the Reese's Sticks?
No.
And with Snickers, can I include the Snickers ice cream bar?
No, we can't do that, Tyler.
Okay, so we're just talking straight up.
Because then you're apples and oranges, I think. We're talking, if you're at the grocery checkout line and they have the 5,000 bars there at the checkout line and you grab that bar,
Yes.
what is that going to like?
Okay.
Otherwise, it'll get too messy, I think.
Okay. All right. I wanted to clarify
No, that's
that
a good question.
before,
Good question.
because that's going to impact my answer.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Nestle Crunch because I think Snickers is overrated. I mean,
Wow.
Everybody kind of puts Snickers up on this pedestal of being an elite candy bar, but
Wow.
I do not think it's that great. I think the Snickers ice cream bar is vastly superior to the Snickers candy bar.
How much different could that be?
I love the Snickers ice cream
How much
bar.
different could that be? It's based off of the Snickers.
But it's so much. Have you ever had a Snickers
Yes.
ice cream bar? Is it not so much better?
It is. I agree. but you're saying. So what you're saying is that the Nestle. You're not saying that the Snickers is bad. You're saying that the Snickers bar itself, not including the ice cream, is just okay.
Yeah.
But you're saying the Nestle Crunch is actually playing their way to a victory.
Yeah.
It's not just a de facto. Okay, I don't like Snickers. It's Nestle's actually really good.
And I love Nestle Crunch. When I was little, it was probably my favorite. I would pack a Nestle Crunch in my lunch every day in elementary school.
Oh, okay.
Which probably tells a lot about my health issues.
Exactly.
I love Nestle Crunch. You know, for the crisp rice market of
Wow.
candy bars, I think it is the best. So I'm going Nestle Crunch in the upset. over Snickers.
Tyler, that is an upset. And Snickers, are you satisfied? You know?
Great marketing.
Great marketing. They do have the ice cream, but I can't count that because it's a different food altogether. And we've just clarified, they taste different.
Yes.
Okay. So, in my opinion, Tyler, this is really tricky for me. When I was looking at the brackets, this was the toughest matchup that I had in the first round. Because Snickers is so iconic, and I love Snickers bars. Absolutely love them. However, I grew up on Nestle Crunch bars. I don't eat a lot of chocolate. Let me just say that first of all. So I have to be really picky with what I eat.
Okay.
And I never go out of my way to get a Snickers bar. But if somebody says, hey, man, I got an extra Nestle Crunch bar. You want one? I get so excited. I almost want to jump up and down and do jumping jacks. I love Nestle Crunch. So in the upset, Tyler, I think we take Nestle Crunch in the upset.
Oh, wow. Snickers goes down.
Yeah, Nestle Crunch. And, I mean, Snickers has got to be one of the top 3 or 4 seeds in the tourney, right? I mean, that's huge.
It is. Do you need to answer that, by the way? Your phone's blowing up over here.
No, it's all right.
Okay.
People are trying to call in and give their opinion on the chocolate
Clearly,
bars.
that's what it is.
And I get it. I mean, I'm just as excited about this as anybody else. So, in my opinion, Nestle Crunch over Snickers, it's huge.
All right. I think that's our first big upset in the bracket.
And that is a big upset. People are going to be, going crazy in the streets
I think
because
so
of this
too.
decision.
Yeah. I mean, you're not you when you're hungry. I mean, they've had so many good campaigns
They have.
with Snickers.
Tyler, we got one more matchup left in this quad, and this will wrap up our first round. We have Payday
Yes.
versus Three Musketeers. Do you want to give the rundown on what Payday and Three Musketeers
All right.
are?
So my description of a payday is if you had a Baby Ruth and just didn't put the chocolate on it, you would have a payday.
Very
right?
good description.
I think you've got the same. It's peanut, nougat, and caramel, which is what a Baby Ruth is.
Yeah.
Without the chocolate, so it's kind of a naked Baby Ruth. And then you have Three Musketeers, which is I don't know what it's kind of like a whipped, very light chocolate on the inside with another coating of chocolate on the outside. Very, very chocolatey. Brandon, who you got in this one? I think this is another tough one.
Tyler, to me, this isn't tough at all.
Okay.
This is one of the easier decisions I've had to make because this candy bar in particular is one of my favorites in the whole tournament. And it could be a dark horse to upset some people later on down the road.
Oh, okay.
This is one that I've had my eye on since the beginning, and I've been eating these since I was little. It's the perfect combination of nougaty, peanutty beautifulness with a little bit of saltiness, too.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of these candy bars have enough salt, and this one does, and that's the Payday bar. I love Payday. It's a good mix of sweet, a little bit more salty than the other ones, but if you're putting peanuts in it, aren't you inherently saying I want salt anyway? Because salt goes on peanuts. So I think it gives you what you would expect out of the other peanut candy bars. I'm going Payday.
Hey, so let me get this straight. You just blasted me for picking Baby Ruth earlier, which is basically the same thing as a Payday. But now you're picking Payday.
No, I blasted you because you picked the Baby Ruth over an Almond Joy, which is absolute blasphemy and completely ridiculous. That is the big difference. And the fact that I went out on a limb and voted for Reese's when I didn't want to. I don't like Reese's.
Oh, you went out on a limb and voted for Reese's over $100 grand?
I don't like Reese's.
Give me a break.
Yeah,
Come on now.
I stuck my neck out on the line for you, Tyler,
Fuck
and
Reese's.
and then I turned around for a second, you stabbed me in the back.
Stuck my neck out for the best candy bar in the whole world.
Okay, well, we'll see how that goes, won't we? But I think the Payday bar is vastly underrated. It gives you a flavor that you don't get with the others because it's not smothered in chocolate. It is totally different.
All right. Here's what I'm going to say. You're not a big chocolate person. I'm a huge chocolate person. Mm-hmm. To me, a dessert is not a dessert if it doesn't have chocolate in it. Like whenever we go out to eat, we finish our meal and we're looking at the dessert menu. My wife knows that our options are limited to anything on the dessert menu
With chocolate.
Oh, if it doesn't, we're not getting
funny.
cheesecake, we're not getting tiramisu. If it doesn't have chocolate in it, I ain't eating it. It's a waste of calories for me.
Wow.
That being said, theoretically, Three Musketeers should be one of my favorite candy bars.
It should. It sounds like the perfect thing for you.
It's just chocolate covered in more chocolate.
Yeah.
But there's something about the Three Musketeers that just doesn't do it. I don't know if it's because it's the whipped chocolate. I just never feel satisfied after I've eaten a Three Musketeers. I don't ever feel like, wow, that was just really good. It's just always, it was all right. It was fine.
Interesting.
But I feel like Three Musketeers could be so much better. So I'm going to go Payday as well
Wow.
over the Three Musketeers because I feel like the only people who love Three Musketeers are 5 years old.
Oh, man. That's a really bold statement to end there, Tyler. So you basically called out our audience, if they like Three Musketeers, that they have the palate of a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. This has been a great first round, Tyler. Let me just run through what the second round matchups, the Elite Eight, are going to look like.
Okay, let's go.
So first of all, we got Reese's.
Yes.
Reese's playing the winner of the Baby Ruth Almond Joy tie.
Yes.
Okay, so that will go up to a vote. In the next bracket, we have Kit Kat playing the winner of the tie between Take 5 and Twix.
Okay.
Now, on the other half, we had no ties.
Interesting.
Okay, so in the other half, we have Hershey's against Butterfinger and Nestle Crunch against Payday. I mean, I'm excited to see where this goes because I think it's very apparent that you and I are going to have very different tastes when it comes forward. I didn't know what your sweet tooth was, Tyler. I had no idea. But now I know, and I can see that there's going to be a day of reckoning coming, and it's probably going to come in the Elite Eight. There's going to be bloodshed. There's going to be tears. It's going to be messy. But these are the things we do on this show.
These are the important topics that need to be covered.
And there's going to be more tiebreakers.
Yes.
So I think for this round, let's let it go to the audience. We've got 2. We'll put them out on our social media this week.
All right.
We need your input. Otherwise, these candy bars are going to be stuck where they're at. I mean, it's literally going to come down to the wire. These are going to be close decisions. And beyond that, we'll see how to do the tiebreakers in the future. I don't know. Maybe we call some people. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We're just making this up as we go.
Yeah,
we're like John Calipari. We make the rules so we can break them later if we want to.
Oh boy! All right, way to bring it on back home, Tyler. That's great. Well, Tyler, this was a fun show. Next week, let's continue our Sweet 16 candy bar bracket.
I can't wait.
We'll keep going. And I'm sure there'll be more news. Probably another chicken sandwich coming out next week from somebody else. Who do you think's the next place that's going to drop a chicken sandwich?
Pizza Hut.
Pizza? Okay. I was going to go Fazoli's.
They're going to have stuffed crust with chicken instead of cheese.
Oh, wow. That sounds good. That sounds interesting. I mean, that could work. Nobody's ever done that before, right. I don't think. But, interesting show, Tyler. Covered a lot of ground here. As always, follow us at LexBuds.com on Twitter. LexBuds.com for our website, and basically type the word LexBuds into any internet machine, and you will find us somewhere.
Yes.
Just start typing it, and we pop up. That's the beauty of the internet. You start typing, we show up, and everything else is taken care of from there. As always, you can check out the full video show on YouTube if you want to look at that as well. And it was a fun one, Tyler.
Yeah, this is great. Can't wait to do it again next week.
Absolutely. We will see you all on the next episode. Stay classy, Kentucky.